Now, I've had very many random inquiries about my workshop studio. It's set up for YouTube, some questions on hardware, software and editing. Now, I constructed my studio on a very limited budget through using stuff I already had lying around, some improvisation and some adaptation. So for me, this is an extraordinary video, not about wood turning, but about helping those who are thinking about building a YouTube studio of their own. Now, YouTubers use the full array of available camera equipment, ranging from the popular digital SLR, action cameras, even an iPhone. Now, having done this myself, I'm very much aware that one of the barriers for new YouTubers is the acquisition of camera equipment, which can be very expensive. Now, when I first started my channel, I originally used a very low end of the market digital video camera and my iPhone 10. Perhaps this is a good time to mention that this video focuses on static locations such as studios, workshops, kitchens, and won't be of much help to mobile YouTubers. Also, this video is about sharing a concept and not a detailed how-to video. I will expand later though if there's enough demand from my viewers. Now, I was recently watching a video by the YouTube influencer Al Furtado, otherwise known as the Woodturner, about how he improved his camera setup and his workshop. Al's videos always inspire me, but this one encouraged me to explore options on how I might improve my own setup, which was constrained for a number of reasons. Firstly, the use of a single simple digital video camera meant frequent movement of the camera and the tripod to change angles, which is necessary to keep the video interesting. Secondly, the use of two independent video capture equipments necessitates the collation of the video clips onto a third item of equipment for editing. My average video of about 16 minutes in duration typically comprises about more than 80 video clips, so this can be a daunting task in that editing can take a lot longer than the actual turning of a project. Thirdly, because of the limitations of my equipment, the YouTube end user experience wasn't as good as it could have been. So I looked around for quite a long time at what cheap cameras were available that I could adapt for use. Now, eventually I noticed simple IP security cameras, a number of which I already had in use for domestic security surveillance, mainly on my chickens, around my home. So what's an IP camera? An Internet Protocol camera is a type of digital video camera that receives control data and sends images, data via the Internet. These are commonly used for surveillance, home security. Unlike analog closed-circuit television cameras, they require no local recording device, although some types do have SD cards fitted internally. So how can we exploit this? Now, we can make use of these simple cameras by controlling a number of cameras on a single device, such as a laptop computer. To achieve this, we need off-the-shelf software such as OBS Studio. Now, OBS, or Open Broadcasting Software, is a free and open source streaming and recording program maintained by the OBS project, which runs on Windows, Mac and Linux platforms. So how does this broadcasting software help us? Now, apart from providing a free platform on which to stream live broadcasts, OBS Studio will record a single or multiple camera streams directly to your computer, all in one location. So in effect, I'm misusing security cameras and broadcasting software to create my studio. So what does my setup look like? My setup, which is still kind of a work in progress, consists of an old MacBook Pro, it's a cast-off company laptop, running OBS software and 3 ieGeek interior 180p IP cameras. I have one camera overhead my lathe, another face on, and the third at the tailstock. I have a Wi-Fi enabled Vestica 180p digital video camera from eBay second hand for £40, which I have mounted on a tripod for ad hoc angles, as well as the use of my iPhone 10. I use the ieGeek cameras simply because, as I mentioned, I had some already lying around, and they do seem to work very reliably with OBS Studio software on my old MacBook. The cameras are in fact dead easy to set up via a free app that comes with the camera. You just scan the QR code on the base of the camera, give it a name, the password, and that's it, it's done. The camera themselves has a 2 megapixel chip and 180p output, making it pretty much ideal for streaming or recording for YouTube in high definition. Now these cameras can be remotely positioned and moved by the app in 3 dimensions. Also, they have a manual focus ring and a fixed 90-degree field of view. Now I will take a very quick look at what's typically in the box of an off-the-shelf IP camera. Now typically you will get an installation manual, a card with a QR code on it, some mounting screws, a bracket to hold the camera onto the wall or a ceiling, a short Ethernet cable for installation. Once the camera is installed, it can either run from Wi-Fi or from Ethernet. The camera itself with the antenna which is built in. And finally the power source. These cameras are plug and play. They're very easy to install. You just need to download the free app, scan the QR code on the base of the camera or from the card, and it will automatically install. Now in my OBS Studio setup I have 5 cameras. 2 of these are monitoring my chicken flock, and the other 3 cameras are located in my workshop. The 3 ieGeek cameras I have in my workshop, one is mounted face onto the lathe, one overhead, and the last one is from the tailstock angle. So in my opinion, the only tricky thing about setting up OBS Studio is actually working out what the IP address is for each camera. Fortunately, there are a number of sites online that will work this out for you, and I'll post some of these in the text that goes along with this video. Now, OBS Studio has many bells and whistles and different settings, most of which I tend not to use. The only thing you should be concerned about setting up is that the video capture settings match your cameras and your expected output. Now, when it comes to audio, there's basically 2 ways you can capture audio. The first way, of course, is via live audio with a microphone to your camera. Now, the second way is by capturing the sound using OBS Studio and a desktop microphone. Now, you can also use a lavalier condenser type microphone, both the wireless or wired types, either attached to your laptop to be captured on OBS Studio or attached to your camera to be captured there. Now, most of the videos I produce are instructional or how-to videos. Therefore, most of the audio that I record is in fact voiceovers done during the editing stage. Personally, I believe this is a far better technique than trying to get it right during the live wood turning, because if you get it wrong, it's difficult to go back and correct it. For video editing, I'm lucky enough to own a copy of Apple's Final Cut Pro X. Being a casual, inexperienced user, I suspect I'm only using about 2% of its capability. Now, before I start editing, I collate all the video clips from the various sources together in one place in the cloud. This makes it much easier to import all the video clips from one single source into Final Cut Pro. So I have loaded here this actual video being edited, and as you can see I use very few of the features. Since most of my videos are in fact how-to wood turning videos, I always believe that simple is best for getting the message across. So finally, when it's edited the way I want it, the last thing to do is to share it to my YouTube channel. Now, although I'm using quite an expensive software package, in fact there's no need to. Certainly for the Mac iOS platform, there are plenty of much cheaper movie editing softwares around, including the one that's bundled with Apple products known as iMovie. Now, in conclusion, I would have to admit that there are both pros and cons for using such a system as I've developed, but I firmly believe that the pros outweigh the cons. For me, the biggest advantage was being able to use 3 additional cheap off-the-shelf IP cameras. Okay, hopefully here then I've provided you with a very broad overview of how I set up my YouTube workshop studio, the components I've used, and how I go from capturing the video to uploading it to YouTube. Also, if there's enough interest generated, I'm willing to follow this up with a series of more detailed videos going into each of the aspects. Okay, if you enjoyed watching this video and think it would be useful to others, please like and share and subscribe for future updates. Thank you very much for watching and hope to see you again soon.